Here we are again. Welcome everybody to episode 4 of the Last of Us TV series HBO Max. We're very excited to bring this to you guys. This the fourth week in a row. Me and Zach are doing this. A lot of stuff has happened. Lots of stuff to talk about. So if you're just joining us, man, jump into discussion. Hit the chats. Let us know what you think will happen if you played the games. This is your first time viewing The Last of Us, entering this world. Me and Zach both played the games. We're really enjoying the show on HBO. See it come to life, and we got a lot to talk about. So let's get into it. Zach, how are you doing this week?
I'm good. I'm ready to talk about this one. It's a very low key episode, a lot of character building, but still a good amount to talk about, especially leading up to some stuff that I know you are. I don't know if you're looking forward to or dreading, but it's coming.
I guess a little bit of both.
Either way, leave comments all stream long, and if you're not watching this live, leave comments what you thought of the episode. We'll talk back at you because we love discussing this.
Yes, we do. And again, this is the first time we really did a TV show review on the channel. So any type of support or any tips you will have for us, anything you like, you don't like, let us know in the chat also. And we're going to cater this towards you. So this is our review, our discussion, our reactions, and just an all-around community. Let's just talk about it. Let's come together. Let's just talk about what is going on, what we think is going to happen.
Yeah.
So episode 4, Zach, if you want to take us into it, how do we start it off here?
We start off with Ellie and Joel. It's called Please Hold to My Hand. If anyone knows why it's called that, let me know. I was trying to figure that out all episode. But if anyone has the Easter eggs on why it's called that, let me know. But we do a lot of character building, and we start out at a gas station. Some nice, lovable kind of Joel Ellie stuff, which we start with. And he's siphoning gas. He doesn't really exactly know how it works, according to Ellie. And it's just nice, fun banter. And she brings out the no pun intended book knock. This captures a bit of what happens throughout both games, correct? They do this in the second game too. They use this book.
Yeah. So they, in a way, yeah, they do.
Okay, but this is a good thing. It builds throughout. The tension builds throughout the episode, and this comes back at the end. It's really good. I do like that they included this, and it's nice to see Joel kind of humanized again with Ellie, kind of how he humanized with his daughter.
Yeah, it's good to see that. And we haven't, again, seen too much of the human side of Joel. Even with Tess, he was still stoic. He was still, all right, get the job done. That's it. And with Ellie here, we're starting to see more that they do have some stuff in common.
Yeah. And then when they go for a drive, a lot of this they took right from the game, Knock.
Straight from the game, the exact setup of the car, how Ellie was in the back, the pulling the magazine down, saying, "Oh, how do you walk around with that?" Straight from the game, and I loved every bit of it because that was one of the funny scenes of the game.
It was. I'll get to that slide in a bit, but then they go another more humanizing stuff, but again, building the tension when they go into the woods to sleep for the night. They don't want to build a fire because humans will see it's too out of range for the clickers, but the humans again are becoming the main enemies here, and they dine like kings and queens on Chef Boyardee beef ravioli.
Yeah, some 20-year-old Chef Boyardee, man. That sounds great. Oh, that's so nasty, man.
20-day-old Chef Boyardee doesn't sound that great. But yeah, these are the two big things they pick up from the game here: the Hank Williams cassette and the magazine, which they actually did a good job of making the exact kind of replicate on there. But yeah, this is really good. If you haven't played the game, this is almost like exactly to the dialogue to where they were seated and everything.
Yeah, so it was really good stuff there. They played it very well, man. And again, Joel, or Pedro Pascal as Joel, has been really hitting the voice, the look, and everything, getting his mannerisms down. Mm-hmm. Bella's she's still growing on me, but in this episode, I started to see more Ellie. Maybe not the first few scenes, but as it went on, I started to see Ellie a lot, and I'm really liking it.
Yeah, I agree. And maybe that's kind of on purpose too. Like the Ellie personality doesn't fully come out because she needs to figure out what's going on. And then we're more so on the Joel side because that's what we started with. So we'll see.
Yeah. And these are great shots. I'm loving how they're setting up the scenes and showing the city and showing the scope of it, as you had in the previous slide.
Yeah, I am too. I was doing some of the shot by shot comparisons. I couldn't really get in time for the scene, but like a lot of the city shots, they're really paying attention to detail in there. Prime time, how you doing, buddy? Let us know if you watched this episode and what you thought of it. And it's this guy. This guy better be watching Last of Us, and hope you are too, because this is just a great, great show. And this part too, they just pay attention to. They do this in the game as well, but it's her second time in a car.
Yeah, and she emphasizes that. Like, what you want me to do, man? I'm trying to figure out how to work a map. Second time in the car, could barely put her seatbelt on.
Yeah, it's good. I like it a lot. Then we get to this. So if you want to talk about this, knock, they pull up here because they thought they're just going to run through and stay on the highway, but it's obviously blocked off.
Yeah. So this part here, again, I think you mentioned it a little bit. They switched cities, so they're headed towards Kansas City instead of Pittsburgh, which is a lot further east in their journey. They get here, and this is the first time we're seeing like a major city outside of Boston where there's cars. You don't see a Fedra or the military presence a lot at all.
Right. That's kind of why it gets a little shocking when they get up to it, because you don't really know what's going on. You're kind of like Ellie and you don't really know. But the reason they mentioned that they changed this, if you watch the after show on HBO, it's because Kansas City matched more of the Canadian locale where they were shooting. So they just wanted to try to make it seem as real as possible. Pittsburgh just looked too different, they said. So that's why they changed up the cities.
Yeah, which I'm not too mad at. That doesn't change too much for me.
Yeah. And the shot that they did in here too, I liked, where he's looking through the Frito-Lay truck. Isn't that the shot where they have that comes later in the game? It's like an actual shot that they need to get through.
I think so. I think you're right about that, actually.
Okay, but again, they're using stuff from the game and using it in the show in a different way, but it's still being used. So I like it. It's not deviating.
Yeah, that's my big thing. Naughty Dog had Uncharted, the movie, come out last year, and they deviated so much, pulled stuff left and right. I'm glad we're changing stuff, but we're still staying on the beaten course here.
Yes, I am glad too. And if you want to talk about deviation, look up anything that's called Resident Evil on a film.
Oh gosh.
Oh man. Yep. If you haven't, we are a wrestling channel as well too. So yes, Lita was back on Raw. We'll be talking about that Sunday for the show, 4 p.m. Pacific time. And Mr. Blade Blackout says the episode was too short and I wanted more action. Knock, any reaction to that?
I get it too. I wanted more action too.
Yeah.
And I think the way they ended it. So I'll tint it out because we'll get to it later. But Sam and Henry, two of my favorite characters, about to happen. So the way they ended it, I'm glad we're gonna get a full episode of them next episode, and they didn't just rush their whole story into this.
Yeah.
So I'm fine.
I agree. Yeah. We're doing real good, real king of fighters. Hope you are too, and hope you're enjoying The Last of Us. Now, Nak, you can take us through the fight in this one. I have a slide up here. This is from the video game where Joel is being drowned. It is very dark. I apologize, but if you want to talk about this and how it compares to the game and how Ellie, shot a man and.
Yeah. So, Joel, man, he getting caught lacking. This is my boy Pedro Pascal's playing The Last of Us on grounded mode. He didn't do his listen mode. He didn't activate any of that. So someone in the show sneaks up behind him from the, what do you call it? The door, sneaks inside. He didn't hear him coming. And you'll find out later that Joel actually has a hearing impediment on his right ear, which we'll play on to later. So in the game here, they did it exactly how it was. The whole setup, you're driving your car. Joel says, we're not going to stop because I know this game. He's been on both sides of this. And again, I'll keep reminding the people who are watching, Joel is not a good guy. He's not a bad guy. He's just a guy trying to survive. So he's going to do a lot of grimy stuff. So this type of situation, he already sees it coming. So they crash into this, what do you call it, like a convenience store, all messed up, lose all their Chef Boyardee cans. They lose everything, ammo, all this stuff. Now they're trying to survive, fight for their life. So in the game here, this was a really cool scene here. I loved it. It was very intense. One of the more intense parts of the game, especially early on. The guy tries to drown you. He tries to put your head through a shattered glass, which is insane. And correct me if I'm wrong, Zach, if you remember this a little more than me, but I don't think Ellie shot him in this point. I thought she came up with a knife and stabbed.
I thought so too. I thought that was a difference in here, but let us know in the comments if that is the difference or not. But yeah, it was impactful for the show though.
Yeah, it was definitely impactful for the show. And in the show, I could have sworn she reached for the knife and then switched it out for the gun.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, a little change there. And then one of the cooler parts I thought later in the game was she shot someone in a more significant point, but they put it here, which is cool. And you can see, like, even though she says later in the episode that this is not the first time she's done this, she's still pretty shaken up. And Joel
Right.
does not go to he's not good at consoling people.
No, it is so weird because he just abandoned everything that he did with his daughter because he was really good with his daughter, but
Yeah.
he just let that go completely, and it's just it speaks volumes on Pedro's part to show that you can see that there's something deep down, but he doesn't want to reach for it.
Yeah, and it's like when he lost the daughter that day, he lost that side of him, and he just completely closed off. And now we're
Hmm.
starting to peek into how the father figure here. So this scene goes on. They finally escape through there, and they hide out in this area with all these newspapers around there. I don't know if you caught any Easter eggs on these newspapers at all. I was trying to see something, I didn't see anything.
I didn't this time. I just kind of paid attention to the scene and what it was
Yeah.
about.
What else happened in that scene? So yeah, the other part, that popped my girlfriend when she was watching. The dude was begging for his life. He's trying to scream, "Oh, I'm down the street," trying to humanize himself. So Joe wouldn't finish the job, and the entire time she was calling bullshit. She was calling cap. He was just trying to do whatever he could, even though he was probably lying. So
Oh yeah,
yeah, I felt the same way.
he spoke to her as a kid too. He said, "We're not playing anymore. It's okay."
Yeah, yeah. And if anyone knows, if you know Ellie from the game, that's not who Ellie is. You can't speak to her that way.
Nah.
And then eventually he does finally get to her. He shows her how to shoot a gun. She learned how to shoot a gun in Fedra. Um, who clearly not teaches these people properly, but Joel shows it a proper way. And when she says, "This is not the first time I've used this," I believe playing the DLC to Left Behind, where she was off her own, the prequel with her and her friend Riley, I believe that's what she's referring to. And she's still not given any details or any information on what occurred between them, which is very significant for her. If you guys play that DLC, you will understand that how Joel lost his daughter was pretty much an analogy for how she felt when she had her interaction with Riley and what they went through.
Hmm. Oh man. But then they got to run. You see him going through the city a little bit here, and it's very militaristic stuff going on with how they're
Yeah.
breaking into houses and everything. But we do get a new character. We get Kathleen, played by Melanie Linsky. If you don't know her, she was the neighbor in Two and a Half Men. She was recently in Candy. She did a good job in that, and she's currently
Uh,
in Yellow Jackets. So she's got a lot going on. Great character actor.
yeah, it's okay. Okay. Um, so here's a good topic point we can talk about right here since we're bringing her up. We have
Mhm.
the introduction of this group. Um, Not a Firefly group, but another revolutionary group who appears through her lead overthrew the Fedra government that was in town here. And when Joel drove in, he's saying, "Oh, Ellie was saying, where's Fedra at? Where's all the military? They were gone, and this group is now in charge." So, how did you feel about their introduction and how it works in The Last of Us?
Okay, I like that they added depth to it because just playing characters are boring. The thing with it is, and this might be my issue with the episode. This one I will not give a 5 out of 5.
Yeah,
But it's still a great episode. It's a little Walking Deadish to me how they're going about this. Again, the drab color schemes and the everyone's angry and there's like a new military faction is a little too Walking Dead for me. But we'll see how it plays out. I do believe how they're doing it so far is if you are on the show and if you're not Joel or Ellie, you are not on the show for long. And that's fine. And if that's the case, I'm all for this. In hindsight, this will be perfectly fine. But just to me, that's what I got out of it. But again, they just kind of breeze through. They're just like a mission or like an obstacle in the game.
yeah. That's what you're seeing here. Um, and in the game, like you said, it was just a mission, just an obstacle. But now they're giving faces to it. They're giving
Yes.
like the Kathleen the backstory because this wasn't in the game at all. Kathleen and her right hand man, I think his name is Perry. They weren't in the game at all. So they're doing this here, and they're giving a backstory with connecting them with Sam and Henry, who you're gonna find out later on in the episode or on the run as well. In the game, Sam and Henry were trying to. They had a group of their own. They saw a city to try to get some supplies and whatnot, and that didn't work out. They lost their group, and then they're supposed to re-meet at somewhere at another location. So
Yep.
that's all you knew. And then this group here was just blocking the bridge that was in Pittsburgh to get across that next section. You didn't know there was any personal ties, like she said in the show. I believe Henry killed her brother, so that's why she's after him. That was not known in the game at all. So my take on this new group in here is I'm fine with it because they put faces to a group that didn't have a face before. But like
Mhm.
Zach said, it does feel Walking Dead-ish. It seems we've been here before, and if you're not Joel and Ellie, it feels like you have an episode and you're done, which is which is fine. But I think that's one of the flaws here, which I feel like they needed more episodes. They
Okay.
9 episodes. I feel like they're gonna have to rush this to end to get it properly. And I felt like they rushed Tess's death. I feel like they rushed a few other scenes that I really loved. I loved last week's episode with Bill and Frank, but I would have loved to see some of the action they had there that got me to build more. I want to love this show for Joel and Ellie, not for what surrounds them. Because everyone's gonna love it for Bill and Frank right now. So I want to be able to
Right.
find that love for Joel and Ellie also. And if we're going through these episodes and it's like, because I'll admit this episode kind of felt like a little bit of filler. It was cool
Mhm.
because I finally got the Joel and Ellie stuff to build the relationship, but a lot of other stuff did not actually happen in this episode, and we have now 5 episodes left.
Yeah, I agree. It's just, when you're playing the game and like the creators of the show said that it's different because you have to figure out how to do this in a TV show. When you're playing the
Yeah,
game for hours straight, what we saw in this episode, we wouldn't feel like it was filler because it flows with the gameplay. So
yeah,
it's just very tough to juggle on there.
yeah. It is. Um, and then the arcs, like I thought Tess would have lasted longer. I thought my Bill would have lasted longer. So now as we're going through this, I just don't want people who are seeing this for the first time who've not played the games to start feeling like this is getting a little predictable and how things are going to play out.
Right.
Um, but for me, since you're on him, do you know the story behind the actor playing Perry?
Jeffrey Pierce, of course I do.
Yes, Jeffrey Pierce, who in the game played Joel's brother Tommy. This is Joel's brother Tommy in the flesh, who was the voice actor mocap for Tommy in the game. Did a great job. Killed it. So it's cool to see him get another opportunity to be another actor from the game in the show.
Yeah. Agreed. And it's all behind the scenes thing. He was lit up with excitement for this.
Yeah. So we got him. We got Tommy's voice actor. We got Marlene's voice actress, and now we're getting two more. We still have Ashley and Joel. Ashley, who played Ellie, and Troy Baker, who played Joel, coming up. So we'll see how that plays out.
Yep. All right, so they go around and they're looking for the kids. They want to find them, and they come across this in the floor that you do not tell anybody about. The floor
Fuck
moves.
yes.
Yeah,
So anyone who played the game, if you're still watching the show for the first time, that is called a bloater. It takes years and years for them to go from a runner to a clicker to a bloater. That thing is nasty. It shoots off spores that will infect you, kill you, knock you out, and of course, it's vicious as it looks. So this little spot here, I mean, you should take that very seriously.
uh, people don't say things in movies and TV
No,
shows,
they
and then it
don't.
leads
And
to hell. So
yeah, so I'm guessing if they're since they put you don't put stuff in a show to just not follow through with it. I'm guessing next episode off this cliffhanger, we're gonna have that be one of the big scenes. I would imagine.
yeah, it was in the preview. So
Yeah.
yeah, but then we come to the hideout.
Yeah. So we see. I forget now. So Sam's the little brother, right? I believe. Yeah, Sam's the little
Yeah,
brother. Henry's the older one. This is like Sam's drawings. He's an artistic guy, artistic kid, and artistic, artistic kid. And if you see him in a game, he's very lovable. He's very lovable. He's very not carefree, but like he's somehow found a way to keep his innocence, no matter how much he's seen or grown up in this apocalyptic world.
yeah. Part of what happens in the game is coming back to me. I don't want to talk about anything because if you're watching the show, we'll find out together.
Hmm.
But I just hope that next week is like last week's episode, and
Yeah,
there's more of this stuff, some kind of interaction. We need more of Joel and Ellie together, but also this needs its own space.
yeah. And the crazy part too. Um, so I was looking up some stuff before this episode just to be able to get some information in there. And in the game, Sam and Henry are only 15 minutes of cutscenes.
Oh shit.
And it felt like so much more. I mean, obviously you're just still playing the game as you're like not just cutscenes, but you're with them for a little bit of time.
Right.
So I really do hope we can get a full episode of Sam and Henry, flesh them out, because their story arc was one of the most impactful arcs in the game. Even so, more than they were on par with Joel and Ellie, as far as like the lasting effect their arc had on people who played it.
Yeah. And they're in this episode at the end. Joel's trying to set some diehard traps so he can sleep and get some rest. But they find their way in there, and yeah, they're here in the very end of the episode, the last shot, and they're going to be a big part of the next episode.
Yeah, big part. So hopefully they do it right. Again, like Zach said, if they do a Bill and Frank type episode where it's focused heavily on these characters, I would really, really enjoy that, because I think they deserve it. Those are just few characters that deserve it. Last thing I will say here. So up to this point in the show, it doesn't seem like Joel knows anything about bloaters. So this might be a surprise for him. And this is another instance where Joel's got caught slipping. He put the glass down, doing the trying to set these traps, and if you caught it, he fell asleep on his what is it? His left ear, which is his good ear to hear things.
Ah.
So you're doing this. You got caught slipping earlier. Elliot to save you. You got caught slipping, I believe, a few episodes ago, where now you're shooting all your bullets, and now you almost got bodied by Sam and Henry before you even meet him. This Joel character, this Pedro Pascal's Joel, is not as street savvy as the one in the game.
I think the reason for that is it's for us to go along with it and figure stuff out rather than him to just explain everything to Ellie. So like next week, he's not just like, that's a bloater. Here's what happens with a bloater. And they can do this, this, and this. It's not a breakdown and like a mansplain kind of thing. It's just, we're all going to find out together with Joel, who just basically went on missions. But I didn't even catch that ear thing, which they gave away in that very scene.
Yeah, they
seconds beforehand, and a nice catch on that. Very nice catch.
Yeah, so it's little stuff like that. You just got to keep an eye out for it if you're watching the show. Let us know if you guys caught anything else. Again, there has to be something with those newspapers earlier. I'll be curious if there's something else.
Yeah, there are a lot of close-ups of those.
But yeah, the little cliffhanger here with Sam and Henry, which are, again, some of my favorite characters from the show or from the game. Were there any other Easter eggs you might have caught?
I honestly didn't catch Easter eggs. All I caught were similarities with the video game. So I don't know if they're putting Easter eggs in there or if they were just giving us the video game players and the fans more of what we kind of want.
Yeah, so for me, there wasn't nothing besides the voice actor being in the show. I didn't catch anything else that happened there. Any other thoughts on this that you had? Before we get to the score, I just want to touch on some other stuff here.
Yeah, honestly, this was a good episode. It's just it's supposedly going to tie in better. This episode will feel more important after we watch next week's episode, is what I've read online from a reliable source who's seen it, and it makes this episode not feel like filler. So it's almost like we got a part 1 and then part 2's next week of the same episode.
Yeah,
I'm good for that, but we're getting more of Kathleen's backstory. So I don't know how back of someone's backstory I really want to go in someone who wasn't in the game, but I do want it fleshed out a little bit so the encounters next week have more impact.
Yeah, I do too. It's just, again, like I'm probably gonna keep saying this for a while. The 9 episodes, I don't think it's enough. Game of Thrones did 10 episodes, and even then that was still close. But if you're gonna do 9 episodes, I need, like, we can't have too many 50-minute episodes. I need like an hour plus to really flesh it out. Because right now, for me, I was going episodes 4 to 5. It feels like Joel and Ellie aren't the main main characters.
Yeah,
kind of off into the side some of it, and I want to go through the journey through them. That's how I can really build towards what they're trying to build for the end. I have to go through the story from their perspective, then seeing all these other people's stories entwine. So if you do Kathleen, I get it. Even Neil Druckmann in the after show said he likes to humanize the villains. Mm-hmm. I get it. That's what works for them. But I don't want to spend too much time on side characters. It worked for Bill and Frank last week because it was a great episode. But that was a lot of time you dedicated to some other characters that weren't. There's not going to be a show for the rest of the time now.
I agree. And if we're thinking that it was a little bit too short, maybe it just needed to be a longer episode. Maybe some more action with Joel and Ellie in there thrown in. I mean, this episode could have used an extra 15 minutes, I think.
Yeah. Maybe just. I would have took. I liked how they were doing it in the beginning, like the first 2 episodes where you had that backstory. I don't think there's any flashbacks at all this episode. We could have showed a little bit of Kathleen, I thought, in a flashback to set up this episode.
That's true. And they did just do Joel's stuff in the car too, which I kind of liked. So we're not going to do a big episode of how him, his brother, and Tess and all them got together. I do like the quick backstory. I like being in the here and now with people. Again, like that's what kind of got me a little. Watching Lost became kind of a drag for me if they're doing backstories on people I didn't really care about. And that's what I hope doesn't happen with Kathleen next week.
Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff there. Speaking of next week, we're going to keep talking about it. Episode 5 actually is going to be airing early.
Yes.
They're taking the hint. The Super Bowl's on Sunday. Don't want to hit the ratings. So episode 5 this Friday will be early. We'll have an early review for you as well. So keep an eye out for that. Yeah.
Yeah, 9 p.m. I think Eastern time. And if you didn't catch it, Pedro Pascal was on SNL this Saturday.
Yes.
Fun stuff, man. He was just having a ball. I loved his monologue, and you probably saw this online a million times, but his Mario sketch, Mario Kart the movie.
Yes. Mario Kart meets The Last of Us.
Yeah. So Pedro Pascal is doing really well. Mandalorian's coming up as well. And if you haven't played the game, play it. It is now on every console, and it's coming to PC. Well, it's not on fucking Nintendo, but yeah. So they so now they have it. A disclaimer here that they're moving the March 3rd date up a little bit for PC. So if you do have a PC, it is coming. It might come after the series is done if it's moved up enough because it ends in like mid-March. So
yeah, you know exactly why they're doing that. They're seeing the buzz. They're seeing the buzz. Speaking of the buzz, the views.
Yes.
I'm trying to lob you a pitch here, Zach. The views, the ratings.
Oh, I don't have that. This slide. I forgot it in here. It's not in here.
But segue. Speaking of the views, what is it? 64% from the first episode up this episode 4, and then 17% from last week's episode.
Nice. Yeah, it's getting big views. I think I have it downloaded, so I'll just get the numbers really quick.
Yeah, it's getting big views. It's crazy that this game that came out a decade ago and swept the nation for gamers is now more popular now than it's ever been. I just hope this episode doesn't make people fall off and dip off, because I think this was a little bit more of a down episode, and I really want people to get invested in Joel and Ellie, because there's a lot of stuff that's going to happen with them that's going to help build this relationship, and they're really going to, if you stay around for the journey, they can really flesh this out. There's like so many of my favorite scenes from the game that will happen that will really be impactful on a TV show.
Yeah, I agree. And then 4.7 million Sunday night, the first episode. Sunday night for the second, 5.7. Episode 3, Sunday night, 6.4. Episode 4, just Sunday night, 7.5 million. And I do believe it would have dropped off after last week's Divisive episode instead of going. So I think the show is on the right path.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, cool stuff here. This is The Last of Us episode 4 review discussion. Let us know again in the chat, in the comments, what you guys thought. Any scores, Zach?
All right, for a final score, I'm going to give this one a 3.9. I may change it after watching next week's episode, but again, a little too much Walking Dead kind of style for the villains.
Yeah. Your boy, I'll go with 3.5 out of 5. I thought it was good. I'm glad we're getting to Sam and Henry. They have a great story coming up that's going to really hit. I just want more. I want to feel more time. I want to feel more attached to Joel and Ellie in meaningful scenes, and just maybe longer episodes. That's my feel, because I don't want them to rush some of my favorite scenes. That's coming from someone who's played the game. So if you guys haven't played the games, let us know your thoughts on this and how the pacing is and whatnot. Maybe I can be a little distracted here because I played the games. I'm coming with that perspective. So let us know your perspective in the comments below. Last of Us episode 4. Check out episode 5 coming out this Friday. A review will be following up shortly. This is the West Coast Podcast, man. Main man, Zach, how you feeling? Send us out.
I'm good. Next week's episode called Endure and Survive. No length of the episode yet, but I'm excited for it. Check it out. We're going to be doing these every week. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell icon so you know when we're popping up, because we've got busy schedules here in LA. So hope you're doing well. Let us know in the comments what you thought of episode 4 of The Last of Us. We'll see you next week and Sunday, 4 p.m. Pacific time for the main show. Me, Eric, and Knock. the West Coast Podcast. Take care and be excellent.